The views and opinions expressed within the video content found on the Indie Comics Network are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Indie Comics Network or its sponsors. Have a question or comment for us to address on the show? Have a topic you want us to talk about? Email us at indiecomicsnetwork@gmail.com. Want your comics to arrive in pristine condition? Head over to GeminiComicSupply.com and save 10% on your next Gemini mailer order or anything in the Gemini Comic Supply store. Use coupon code RAGIN10. That's RAGIN 10.
It is difficult to write these words, but I must for my own sake. I have done, seen, and been part of many things in my life.
All right.
Hey.
Hey, everybody.
So, gentlemen, it's Saturday morning. You know what that means, right? Woo! We're here for another Sketchy Saturday. Woo!
Yay!
Yeah.
Good to be back.
Saturday morning. Well, Saturday morning for some of us, right? Yeah.
Oh, Saturday afternoon for some. Yeah.
It's morning somewhere. And we just stretched the morning out for another 12 hours. And, you know,
Well,
Saturday's just a morning.
My question is,
huh?
My question is it beer 30 yet?
Beer 30.
Yes, actually, in 26 minutes here in the Netherlands.
There you go.
See, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, good morning, everybody. I'm C. Michael Lanning. As Will Eisner put it, graphic translator. Work for Calico Shard on Arrow Comics. Some other things, plus the upcoming Doghouse from Haus Productions. And if you were able to catch that bump at the beginning, yes, that is some of my artwork in that Apothic Press electric comic. I did 5 pages in there. You can go and check that out. This morning, I'm working on a different comic called Magi's Grace with J.D. Calderon. We looking to kickstart that next year. And let's go around the room. Mike, Jimmy.
Hey everyone, I'm Mike Jimmy DeBruin, CEO of Ferdinand and creator of Love Ancora. And today I'm working on Love Ancora 6, page 28. Because this week has been 100% Love Ancora for me, which has been a long time, and it feels super good to get things done again.
Absolutely. I'm going over here to my left, right, whatever side this is for you guys watching. Is Mr. Rodney Fyke.
Hey guys, how are we doing this morning? I am Rodney Fyke. I am the writer, creator, jack of all trades, master of none. For
Master of some.
Master of some for Hasm Productions. You can find me all over the internet. We go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, all that good stuff. Rodney Fyke artwork. You can go to the Hasm YouTube channel and check out the videos there, and Hasm.com and HAZZUM.com, and check out all of our books. Just Peanut Pudding and Jelly, Pitter Patter, Unchained, Roadkill, Rampage, and as Michael mentioned just a minute ago, Doghouse coming from Hasm in 2023.
Right.
Nice.
And what you doing today?
I am working on my Wednesday piece that I started on Thursday Night Throwdown. I'm going to try to...
Okay, so you're working on Wednesday from Thursday.
Wednesday from Thursday on Saturday.
All right,
yeah.
awesome.
I'll be specific.
And of course, Mr. John Celestri.
Hi.
Tell them what you do, sir.
I am. It's Saturday morning, so that's cool. I'm John Celestri. I'm CEO of myself, and I'm just an artist, an old school animator, comic book artist, and I just keep on rolling along, and I'm working on my project, which is my passion project. But you can, if you want to come up and support me on my passion project, it's my Bloodwing Angel Chronicles, and I've reached. Let's see, where have I gone to? I've gotten 120 pages so far that I've published, and I got where am I now? I got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I'm on the 14th page or the 15th page of my next book, Bloodwing Angel Chronicles book 4. And so it gets deeper and deeper, and there's more and more going on. So that's what I do.
Awesome. Yeah. And of course, MarV.
Greetings, listeners. I'm MarV. I'm a freelance illustrator from Portugal and creator of the miniseries Destined Killer. And I'm working right now on page 8 of the second chapter, Michael Hunter of Men. So I'll be inking today.
Awesome. And it's really nice today. We've got to hear kind of a new MarV today. MarV got some new equipment and everything, so he's rocking it, right, Mar?
Oh yeah.
New stuff will come very soon, and I want to have the best equipment that I can afford to share with everybody. So,
right.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Awesome. Well, today, gentlemen, I was thinking about testing your character. So, yeah.
My character or my characters?
Hold on now. Don't get ahead of me. So let's talk about it. I mean, let's go around the room. Anybody wants to jump in first, go right ahead. But when you make a character design and you're creating a character, what do you do? Do you have a process? Is it just you just throw it in there? What do you do? I'm going to start picking names, guys.
I personally, they come to me in conversation. Like a scene will start playing out in my head, and when that happens, I don't know who they are, but I just listen, and they continue to talk, and as they talk, they become clearer and clearer to me. So then I'll bust out a sketchbook or some paper or whatever, and I'll start flesh in the mouth into a tangible form, and then they grow over the course of a week or so and become who they become. And I've done it the other way, where I've sat and actually, drawn a stick figure and try to put a costume on it and then build from there. And that's, I can do that. I've done that, but over the last 10 years or so, they come to me, they just start talking, and that's how I do it.
Okay. So you're sitting down drawing. You think of the elements of the character. How much, like for instance, in facial features, how much of their personality do you put into their features?
I guess that
This is kind of one of those natural things. It just kind of happens.
Yeah, it just kind of happens. Like they come to me, it's almost like walking into a room and kind of coming into a conversation, and you don't know who the other person is, so you stand there and you listen without saying anything, and you observe, and then for me, I start sketching, and as they continue to talk to me, they become clearer and clearer. So then, okay, well, let's adjust this, and this is obviously, it's not a wiry, skinny person; it's a bigger, thicker person. Okay, and I see that they've got bushy eyebrows and a square cut jaw. This guy over here doesn't have a chin, and he's 80 pounds overweight. So let's get that down. And they just, I sketch accordingly to what comes to me in my mind.
Right.
Okay. They pretty much come full formed, and I'm the documenter of what's happening.
There you go. So I have no control. They just do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
weird, but
Exactly.
that's how it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't relate at all.
Yeah, I don't know where they come from, but they're always there.
No, for me, because I'm doing speculative biology, so my writers, they give a description of the animal, and they're like, yeah, okay, this is where they live, this is what they look like. But because I have to combine so many elements and be like, okay, so how do all these elements work together, and what would be a natural thing for them to have because they're living in this kind of environment, or just going along the line of biology, what is the logical thing for them to look like, and what kind of niche do they fill? So, well, with those niches, what kind of traits do those niches always have? For the next Lavancora, not this one, but like the very next one, we're going to a different continent. So we're going to snowy fields. So what kind of creatures, what kind of traits do creatures in snowy environments have? Well, bigger paws, they have to be able to stand in the snow a little easier, thicker fur, and all those things. So I don't design characters, I design animals and work from there.
Yeah, I like that speculative biology. That's really an excellent term. I like that.
It is so much fun, though.
Is that a term you came up with, or is it?
No. This is a very common term for the thing that I'm doing. If you look up speculative biology, there's a couple of series on YouTube as well where, well, they pretty much did what I did for Lavancora. They set up the basics for a planet and decided, like, what kind of body types are going to base everything off of, and just go through the history of that world, quote unquote, and through the logic steps of how things would look like because of evolution. And I'm pretty much doing the same for Lava Core, but a very popular speculative biology book is Man After Man, where the creator speculates about humanity a few million years into the future.
Okay.
And having, explored space, what influences does space have on humanity? For example, on Mars, because the gravity is lower, humans are going to be slightly taller.
Okay, yeah.
And have less muscle mass and thinner bones because they don't have to be built so bulky. And the other way around, like much smaller, bulkier humans, because they are, they're on a heavier planet. But also, what would they look like after several million years living on a spaceship? Like,
I don't know, gray with big eyes. I'm thinking
something like that. Yeah, no, that comes pretty close actually. But yeah, I can definitely suggest these books. Like they're so much fun, and they're a mind exercise, and working from there, it's just such an interesting thing to do because you have to go down lines you don't expect to have to go down.
Right. Well, let me ask you this question, because you are dealing with creatures that we've never seen, creatures that are uniquely to your comic.
Yeah.
But in writing, like say you have like an Alice character or a Dorothy character, and those are the most blatant examples where it's somebody that the reader can relate to, and they're seeing this new world unfold through their eyes. So you relate to Dorothy, and that way it kind of conveys the narrative of the rest of the world, right?
Yes. So the main characters are just the creatures, and their interactions. It's a daily life of. So with that in mind, I always go for the how and the why, and the writers usually just go on the who and when and where. And so it creates a pretty hard time for me sometimes because magic is not a thing, and they suddenly they come up with things where I'm like, I would love to put this into my story, but how?
Well, that makes sense. But that challenge is kind of what makes it worthwhile, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
but
that's part of the character building. Yeah.
It's the openness that allows me to put things in, but it's also the limitation because I have to follow their narrative with a creature that might not entirely be able to do the things that they're supposed to do in story. For example, the concepts that I'm working on right now are for a type of creature that are very technologically advanced for this world. So that in mind, would they have thumbs? Would they have tendrils? How would they use these tools that they're supposed to be using?
Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I got to think about.
Right.
And my favorite example is still Octas, the rock creatures. Because
that's very cool one.
I had to think about, okay, so they're a hive mind, silicon-based creature, how would I make an anthill out of rock? And how would that work? So the rock that you're seeing in the comic, the humanoid figure, is an exoskeleton, and the creature itself is actually inside, because silicone would solidify with the temperatures that are on the continent that it plays at. So
that's a lot to think about.
Yeah, no, world building is fun, but it also isn't fun. And Wednesday looks amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I love Copic work. Well, looking at Copic work, I don't love doing it.
Just laying down my grays first, my undertones, and then building it up from there.
So you lay down grays and then you put the color over that?
Yeah. And I didn't used to do that, and sometimes I don't do that. It's just a time thing. But with this, I was gonna just do like gray tones, just make her like, just gray with the purple, kind of purplish hair. And honestly, it will depend on just the groove that I'm in. If I can get it looking good enough with just the grays, I might leave it that way, or just decide to go with the flesh. So,
let's see.
And then I'll use the Copic multi-liners to do the eyelashes and stuff like that, and pull all of that out in the eye, the black eyes and all that. So yeah, it's fun. It's building layers and building layers and building layers. So
it's all fun once you know how to do it. Trying to figure it out.
Yes.
Because I am constantly watching certain people on Instagram, their videos, and just to try to improve, because I'm like, okay, well, I can't do this very well, and how does this person get that effect? And I've been watching, so I've been try to improve, get better. So it's helping some, and I'm applying some of those techniques that I've been observing over the last couple of months, and I can see where it's taking effect.
Yeah, I believe that.
So while I have you up here on the screen, John, why don't you tell us how you approach character creation?
Well, first I'll see what the character is supposed. What is the essence of the character? They are first is it a villain or what have you, or the protagonist or a secondary character? I think in terms of casting.
Yeah.
I cast my characters and designs to suit that. So I may start with I'll know. Well, I'll always, in terms of visually, I look to see what are the shapes and forms that evoke a certain emotional reaction to a reader or an audience. That's what you're looking for. It's not just interesting faces. I look at the overall shape first. And
for sure.
Okay, so there's that. But then also, how is the shape in relationship to all the other shapes? So I start thinking about age and how that affects the shape. There's your silhouette. There's a bunch of stuff, and then there's height. Then I'll start thinking about what kind of facial expressions would that character usually stand with. I mean, everybody has a resting face.
Yes.
And so you start looking for that. Sometimes people, they're naturally bug-eyed. They're always wide-eyed, no matter what. Some people, their mouths are always turned up. Some people are down. Some always straight. What have you?
Something,
And I start
something
thinking
resting
those
bitch
terms.
face.
Oh, pardon?
Something with a resting bitch face.
Yeah,
Yes.
somebody was going to say it, right?
Yes. Well, listen, it's either a resting bitch or a resting bastard. You know.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
For
You
sure.
know?
absolutely.
And then there is a resting. Just that person is so naive, and there's a resting mark. So but there again, you know what I'm talking about. So so then I start figuring out. I cast the characters, and that helps me work out a size comparison chart. Let me just jump. Let me jump right out here. Hold on a second. I will just drag this here.
While he's doing that, I'm going to put. We're going to say hey to Brown Dog this morning. Morning, Brown Dog.
Here, I'll just go ahead and do it straight on the camera.
Hold on. Yeah, let me put you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let me just see there. Okay. So here's your family. That is the family that Michael is dealing with. Okay. So you've got you have that. You have those characters. Then you also have some villains and secondary characters here.
Mm-hmm.
And so here I start playing around with this in terms of, so I know what everybody looks like. And when you do animation, you have to be able to compare what the sizes are. So you've got, as I said here, you've got, the head's high in relationship to Michael. Michael here is the one who starts with the size of the head, and then work all the way through to everybody else. That's a major point. Anyway, so that's how I start putting that together. And before I even, if you were looking at this here again, you'll notice how different the shapes are with each other. Just so that you don't get confused, especially when you're popping them back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I start thinking about just what the faces would be like and what their relationships are, and then once I have that as my overall arc, of what the major characters are, then I can start playing with how they would look, what kind of costume they would have, what evokes what does their costume express of their personality. And so I'm putting all that into it as I'm playing with the story and understanding what happens. So for example, I have a place where I know that Mike, or rather Josh here, is he's the love interest. There's Michael. At one point, at some point, because they're so big, he gives her, Josh gives Michael his coat, and there's such a huge difference in terms of being overwhelmed by the coat, and it creates an image, a childlike image. It's reinforced in innocence with Michael. And so there's all those elements that you play with as you're doing your posing, then it gives you something to play with. It makes things interesting. So I haven't started actually to, drawing any full pages. I'm thinking along the lines of what will happen and what kind of prop am I giving my characters to play with. And that's part of animation also. Anyway, so that's where I go with the characters. That's my starting point.
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. That's a lot to think about. But
you asked, and that's where I. Remember,
that's
you're asking somebody who's been doing this for 50 years, so you're gonna get
No,
an
that's
unedited
exactly what we want.
flow of stuff.
You gave us exactly what we were hoping for,
Yeah.
and more.
No,
Anyway,
but I was thinking, like you said, the props and everything like that, and you don't think about that kind of thing, and it's just that's a really great point to bring up is thinking about what your props are going to do and how that's going to convey a certain characteristic in the story and everything.
Yeah.
A case in point is, and this is old school again, Popeye's pipe is such a prop, a perfect prop, because it's part of him. He's not just picking it up and working with it. It is part of his personality.
Right.
So,
yeah.
For example, with Michael, with my angel, Michael's hair is a prop because Michael tries to cut it off because it gets all entangled with her wings, and it cuts it off, but it springs right back to size. I mean, the hair is maybe about 5 feet long, and won't shrink and won't cut because it'll just go right back. That's part of it. So you get to play with that, and it gives you so much entertainment, to work with. It becomes an obstacle, but it also becomes, an identity.
Yeah,
So-
part of the personality of the character.
Yep.
Yeah, while conveying the frustration there.
Yep.
Conveying, more struggle. Even though it seems like it's a menial struggle, it adds to the overall struggle of that character and the situation that Michael's in.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's brilliant.
So thinking it's not just dialogue. It's how physical do you want your pages to be, because it gives you so much to play with.
Right.
Yeah. It's
That's
like
definitely something. I'm gonna have to come back and watch this again and take notes.
No, right?
No, but
Every
that's-
single week.
No, everybody's bringing some good stuff this morning.
Well, yeah, it's like accessories for each character. Yeah.
Speaking of good stuff, look at this MarV.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you go, MarV.
Oh yeah, I'm having lots of fun doing this chapter.
We can see
What-
that.
What kind of multi-liners are you using there, MarV?
Sorry?
What kind of pens are you using?
Well, I'm using Statler, several ones, 0.5, 0.1, 0.2, some microns, 0.8, and I have this one that I really enjoy. It's 0.3 slash 2.0. This one is very, very cool to.
Oh, it's a flat pen.
Yeah, I love this one a lot.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm trying to practice with this one, and I did one digitally on Procreate because I don't know how to make it on Clip Studio yet, but I'm gonna know how to do it, and then I'm going to apply it also on Clip Studio because now I'm making everything, almost everything on Clip Studio. So Procreate, I'm putting a little bit Procreate. A little bit on the side because it has made a lot of problems for me.
Yeah, your publisher thanks you.
You're welcome. You're welcome because as soon as you told me to take care of that, my art the book just became way better than how it was supposed to be, right?
Yeah, no,
But,
you've done a great job.
Thank you. But answering Steve's question, when it comes to creating characters, some of them, like John the priest, Michael the dog, and Gabriel the raven, they were thought among music because John was born when I was listening to Dave Matthews Band. the Grave Digger. That's how I came up with the Sin Killer.
Okay.
Cemetery Gates, the environment of the environment of the comic, you know, and then you have a bunch of music. And but one thing that happened to me on Gabriel Reaper of Soul, the first chapter of the 4 miniseries that I'm working on right now, is that Uriel just appeared, like Rodney said. She just was supposed to be a victim, and Gabriel was supposed to do what I wanted him to do, but Uriel just appeared from nowhere and wanted to take over the chapter, and she did that. And actually, she moved on to the first few pages of the second chapter, so she's got an own will. And I do believe that not only happened to me, but I think it happened to other creators, not too much creators, but a few, that we create a character that just take over the entire story, because I had to change a lot of stuff now that she's in. So that's why I have one more chapter. Not 3, but 4. But yeah, and unfortunately, I'm not like John that thinks about the stuff that we must think, right? Because I still don't have experience on that. And unfortunately, I have a day job, and I don't have too much time to make character designs and everything else. So everything that I put on paper, in this case on the tablet, is everything that I'm thinking at the moment. I know what I wanted to put in the story. I do the sketches, but then when I go to ink, some stuff changes because I'm still very green on this craft. But it's great. It's great to create comics and to create our own stuff and be a fan of our stuff, because it's very important for us to love what we do. Not only make comics because we have to make comics or whatever. I'm doing this because I really enjoy the craft. And,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I already have a job I don't like going to. If I would have a job I like doing.
Yeah.
So let's see. Donna says hello. Morning, Donna.
Hey.
Thanks for joining us. And then Basilco's in the house. He says nice Wednesday.
Oh, thank you.
Jared says, I'm so glad you said that. And he was talking to Mike earlier. You know you're an artist when you think of how gravity affects your character.
Uh-huh.
Well, you have to. Like that's the thing. You actually have to consider those things. And I actually learned a lot about that when I was reading the Shipstar series by God. It's a science fiction 2-parter by 2 writers. I have it somewhere in the living room. Not feeling like grabbing it right now.
No.
It's a normal star turned into a spaceship with a giant ball around it that, has centrifugal gravity, which means that the gravity varies the further away you get from the center. And a lot of things. Actually, let me create a new one. Here we go. So you got your sun, and then you got this giant ball around it, and they made some kind of engine that pushes all of the sun's energy through a tiny hole on the other side, and that propels it forward. So the ball goes like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the ball actually spins around as well. So you got no gravity in the center. A little bit, the further you go out, and the more. So this spaceship has been designed to house all kinds of different creatures. that come from different kinds of planets that have different gravities, that have different environments. It's super cool.
Mhm.
And it makes my sci-fi heart to beat faster. And it's one of those books that you read once and you're fine and you don't want to read it again. But it's so worth reading that one time. So
Well, it looks like it stays with you, so that's always a good thing.
oh no,
If you
it
can read it
totally
one time,
did.
it stays with you. Yeah.
It really made me figure out a lot of world building parts for La Foncora. So yeah, it really did a lot.
Nice. I was thinking this week also that everybody here pretty much has, I don't know, not necessarily, maybe it's hard for me to have a favorite artist per se, but I do have an artist, I'm influenced by. For instance, one that I really enjoy, that I guess if I had to pick one that was my quote unquote favorite artist, which I don't really believe in favorites, but I would go with maybe like Humberto Ramos,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And but have you guys ever, you have your influence, but have you ever went and looked at what influenced them?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Definitely.
Like I know for Humberto Ramos, I went to look at his influence was Art Adams, which I know that's hard to believe because nobody's influenced by Art Adams. Did you discover any artists that y'all really liked doing that kind of thing? Is there?
I've actually had a couple of conversations with Humberto about his influences, and Arthur Adams is a huge influence for him. But his father wanted him to go. He was one of those fathers that didn't think that he could make a living as a comic book artist, and he was going to go to school to be an architect.
Oh,
and
really?
he loves architecture. Of course, you can tell that in all of his artwork.
Oh, I know it's.
So for him, actually when he was here in Cincinnati back in September, we talked about his love of detail, and I had bought some of his pages in San Diego back in '98 or '99. And I said, some Crimson pages, and I told him the reason I bought them was because of the architecture in the churches that he had drawn.
Oh, I know,
which
yeah.
sparked that conversation. And he said he loves the detail, and for him, one of the worst parts of being a comic book artist is not having the time to put all the detail that he would want to put into the buildings and stuff. He said when he was working with Cliffhanger, he had the time because it was his book. And,
Yes.
I mean, the stuff that he does now was really good on Spider-Man and stuff like that, but you can tell he's on a 30-day schedule, which was one of the reasons why I buy his Crimson pages. I've got 3 of them, and it's just his love for the detail and the architecture and stuff, which is a lot of the things that I'm influenced by. I love architecture and I love a lot of detail and stuff. And yeah, so it was cool to be able to have some conversations with him about that.
You do not have the one, Rodney. You do not have the piece of art where the main character, I can't remember his name, he's running out of the church and the church is up behind him.
No,
And you don't have that one,
Alex.
Yeah.
I had the page where the sunlight comes through the stained glass window and he's kind of thrown back.
Yeah.
But I ended up having to sell that about 10 years ago.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, it was. I waited for a year to sell it, but I just had to because I was forced to.
Right. Yeah. Well, life, right?
But I've got the pages where it's like a bird's eye view shot of the inside of the church with all the people in it, and yeah, it's sitting over there. You know what? I haven't hung those up. I can go get them and show them to you real quick. Hang on a second.
Oh, that would be cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that I look at is that architecture and the buildings and everything. I really, really would like to get better at doing that. And it's just one of those things. You have so much stuff that to practice on or to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what do you have to learn to be a comic book artist? Easy, everything.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, if you know how to break down objects to basic shapes, from there, it's the basic shape and building the details around that. And as long as you know how to do that, you can pretty much start building up.
Yes.
Whatever you're trying to learn.
Well, it's the legend.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wow.
Pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just like the tufts in the pant legs, and then the treads on the bottom of his shoes.
Mm-hmm.
He was really intrigued by the pages that I chose to buy, and it's it's all of this different stuff. It's the buzz on the back of his neck, how they do that with the ink, and then his goatee here, the whiskers on his chin and his upper lip, just stuff like that, just like right in here. I just love that kind of stuff. And let me show you the other page. Hang on a second.
What I really like about that is that his characters have very little line variation, and his background's for that in that case as well.
Look at
that. You can see that he doesn't care about line weight, and he cares about negative space and the fact that the devil is in the details.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And actually, Sandra Hope inked him on this book.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And if you guys are not familiar with Sandra Hope, she is one of the most underrated inkers in the industry. She works for DC now because she was part of Wildstorm Studios when they were acquired by DC. So she's been working for DC ever since they were acquired. But yeah, I mean, look at the clouds. They're not just. The clouds aren't just straight lines. There's thick. There's variations in the line weight there. So yeah, it's just gorgeous.
Did he tell you how long it took him to do a page?
Typically, one page would take an 8-hour day, sometime a 10-hour day.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, right.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty
because I want to make details. But
yeah,
getting home from the factory and work those long hours to ink a page, man, that I will never end the second chapter if I do that. So I try to make some panels and some establishing shots with a lot of details, and then play a little bit with the lines with the rest of the page or the rest of the scene, and try not to have too much detail so that I can move forward. Like this one, like this page. This scene is gonna be inside a cave, so the establishing shot is this one, basically, and then the rest will be less detailed so that I can move forward and not being worried about all the single lines, single details on each panel or on each page. So,
yeah, you all have to be really careful that you have an overall idea or vision of where the focus should be.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you get overwhelmed by all the detail, even though each section looks great. There is such a thing as just being totally overwhelmed, and also it gets lost in the reproduction because people can't see it all, can't focus on it.
Right.
Drawing for reproduction is a real art. Depending, I'm talking about for drawing down to a certain size.
Oh yeah, I mean that was a big, especially back in the '90s. And it's funny because that's where a lot of that all those extra unnecessary lines kind of were birthed. But in our studio, it was always like, it's not going to reproduce. Quit using these tiny, minuscule lines because when that gets shot, they're gonna burn out.
Yeah,
and you're not going to see any of it.
Yeah. That's the thing.
And nobody cares. Like nobody cares. They want to read something real quick and have it over with. Nobody cares.
Yep.
Yeah, I got told that a lot about my backgrounds. You're spending too much time in just move on and go. People are going to see it for a second and move on. Don't spend too much time with it.
As a background concept artist, that takes me off, but you're right.
That's what they kept telling me. I don't like it either.
No, but it's true.
It's true.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate. And that's the unfortunate truth, and that is, it'll go by so fast, no one will ever see it. That's the thing. What they would talk about in animation. If you can spend so much, spend your effort on money shots and on certain things that will make the biggest impression on it, and usually it's character that will make the, unless the whole point of the architecture is that's the character of the architect. The architecture is the character of that panel or that page. But you just have to really, bite the bullet and say, okay, I got to kill that little baby.
Oh yeah.
That comes to lay. That's where the problem is.
Right.
And nobody wants to do that, really.
Yeah.
No, you get to, and like with that, he got to a point where he was able to finally do something he wanted to do, because if you'd seen the stuff that he did before, he did Impulse, which was good. But if you go back further than that and you look at some of the stuff he did, like I'm talking about Humberto Ramos, he did one of his first books was Hardwire for Milestone Comics. It was rough. It was definitely rough. Yeah, he's definitely one of those artists that you see has progressed.
Yeah,
considerable amount. He even had a Gen 13, which I can't even stand looking at. It's just like, ouch! This is the same artist.
Yeah, but back then it was like, oh, okay, cool. But now it's just like, wow, that's kind of rough.
I don't think I can say, thank God that there's artists out there that understand potential. And that's, they can look at something and go, okay, you have potential, you just have to mature. And that's kind of the case with a lot of things.
If we're going to talk about money shots.
But Rodney, Look, Allison said, my parents didn't want me to be an artist, so I went to school for science. I ended up double majoring in computer science and astrophysics.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Good morning, Northbury.
Good morning.
Hey, man.
Nita says, who's smart for our channel, Allison? Allison says, Sandra Hope is amazing. I've had several amusing conversations with her.
Yeah. I don't know if I haven't told the story here, but how she got her job with Jim Lee and them at Image. She was at San Diego Comic-Con, and she showed some work to Jim, and he gave her a page and said, go ink this page tonight and bring it back to me. And she didn't have any supplies with her because she was just going to the show. So all she had was a black ballpoint pen. And she went back to her hotel room that night and she inked that page with a black ballpoint pen, and she brought it back to him. And he was just stunned. He was like tired.
Wow.
So preparation met opportunity, and well, she wasn't prepared, but
honestly, as long as you know what you're doing, experience outdoes tools half the time.
yeah, there actually there's a story. Tommy Castillo, who unfortunately has passed, but he was at a show, and I've heard this story secondhand from some friends of mine. The after party, he showed up after a while, and they had ordered a bunch of pizzas and chicken wings and stuff. So he'd gotten there after the food had been consumed and everything, and they were doing a charity. Everybody was doing artwork for the charity auction.
Mm-hmm.
So he came in and he tore off 2 lids on the 2 pizza boxes, and there was an ashtray with some cigars in it, and he took a can of Coke. John, you know exactly what I'm going to say. He took a can of Coke and he poured some Coke into the ashes, and he took 2 chicken bone, and mixed up the ashes, and he stood there and he drew Batman on one and Joker on the other with a chicken bone. And
oh wow,
that's the tools that he used in both of those pieces went for like $800 a piece.
Wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to understand, it's the artist that makes the tools.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, say it again, John, for those who can't hear it. It's the artist,
that makes the tools.
Yeah.
For crying out loud. Just you if you know what materials you need, you can improvise.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, basically that's what he did. He did a basically taking the ash and the Coke, and you've got your grays, and you've got a little. It's kind of like he did almost like a wash drawing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had his pigment and he made his artwork.
Yeah, there you go. It's like impression. It's the impression, and also the fact that he did it. I mean, that's something else.
Oh yes.
I mean, he could have been drawing anything. It didn't have to be Batman or Joker. The fact of the matter, those are iconic pieces. But the fact of the matter, he did that spur of the moment. There is a story. There's all kinds of stuff. And of course, it's more valuable for a charity.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, he chose the iconic characters that he knew were going to sell.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And, he didn't stand there and he wasn't an exhibitionist about it. He just stood there. And he did this actually at a draw off that I was at, and it was in Pittsburgh, different year, but he came into the room, him and Stuart Sager, and he just took a piece of butcher paper, and somebody handed him a brush, like those big gawky brushes that the kids in 2nd grade use for art class,
Mm-hmm.
and he just painted this Batman on top of a gargoyle. And it was just amazing, and he did it in probably 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I believe that.
Oh man, it was amazing.
Oh boy, someone wants food. Oh really? Oh.
You talk about that.
No, she is.
Losing lines when going to print. And they done something, I don't know if it's been a year ago, a few months back, where they showed Jim Lee's stuff now that he was putting out in the 90s, and you could see in comparison how much was being lost.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All the line work that was being lost, because his line work that you see now, which he has a lot of line work, but the line work that you see now it's not really new to him, but you're just being able to see it more and better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they released it's like a prestige, it's a big book. It's like 11 by 17 actual size,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all of the original line work and stuff reproduced with colors from today from the X-Men number 1. And Sean's got it, Sean Forney's got it, and I was looking at it up at his house a while back, and it's just stunning.
Yeah.
So they redone the X-Men #1 with the one that had multiple.
Yeah, the big gatefold out cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
They
one.
redone that. They recolored it.
They, I think it was recolored. Yeah.
Oh man, does it stay better or because usually when they do that they just screw everything up, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if it was recolored. Because to be honest with you, I was more taken aback with the line work than the color. But yeah, I can't for certain say that it was recolored, but it was reproduced and it was just amazing looking.
I'm trying to find it because I have that book here, but let me. I don't quite remember. I do remember the style of the coloring back in the day, you know, and then I just stopped.
Well, yeah, the
buying
coloring
comics
wasn't
because
anything special.
because I really don't like the coloring from the 90s and early 2000s. Okay, I've got it. Three, I think there are three. Yeah. Let me see if I can remember. Okay. This is the phase that I started not to like the coloring of that time.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Yeah, this is one of the reasons that I stopped buying comics. Yeah.
Well, that's what I said. They're also trying to get the feel of the importance of color at that time too. From the 80s on onward, they kind of used to be just kind of put the color down and move on.
I mean, yeah, like it was very flat because you didn't have the time to actually color.
Well, I
But
don't think they
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
I was going to say, what's interesting is that was probably 90, maybe 91. But if you fast forward 3 years and you look at the coloring that Brian Haberlin and Dan Kemp were doing on Spawn, and it's a world of difference.
Because they were getting those bonuses from Todd.
Yeah. But I remember I used to go, and this is back when we were coloring comics. I would go get the new issue of Spawn, and like there was a scene where there was a shot glass on the bar, and it was transparent. It actually looked like glass, and I sat there and I studied that, and I went and I took a page that I was working on for somebody, and I just kind of replicated it. I'm like, okay, so that's what he's doing, and all of a sudden, like it was there, and I knew how to do it, and I'm like, oh, this is sweet.
I wanted to do something like this, you know, classic coloring.
Yeah, pretty much just flat.
You know, but unfortunately, I don't know how to do it because I haven't found the right way to do it yet. But this is just amazing. This is from the 70s.
So, MarV, the way they do this, I've seen it in like the Singular One, right? Where what you're working with your basic RGB colors. So your primary colors are there, but you're thinking about them from a light perspective where you need to think about them as a shade perspective. Because so your paper is going to the ink on paper pulls away light. And another thing that, so that, first of all, means that it's always going to be darker. And for example, yellow is going to be very brightly yellow. And I could literally grab a copy of the Scene Killer right now if I have it on hand. Maybe that one. No, it's not. Bugger. Where did I leave one? I swear to God, I always need one right when I don't have it. But like, you have your primaries, but you don't mix them in the way that you would like to in like you've shown in these comics. And what you end up with is, well, a very primary colored comic where you could definitely add skin tones the way they did it. And you wouldn't even have that hard a time. But it is, finding those colors and finding those base colors and working from there.
Yeah, and it's not that complicated. But it's time consuming.
Yes,
the colors.
Yeah, and yeah.
It's not that complicated, says the man who's been coloring for years. Yeah, okay.
Well, that's the thing, is I get yelled at all the time for, aren't you done with that page yet? Because you get lost in what you're doing, and you know what you're doing, and you're efficient at it, but it's you don't realize, and that's the reason why everything was so simplified, was because of schedule. And the books come out every 30 days. They don't have time to worry about whether or not there's enough shade under the eyes and stuff like that, and the cheekbones are prevalent and blah 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 blah. Just lay down your flat, lay down a shade, lay down a highlight, move on.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, can I jump in?
Go ahead, Tom.
Yes. I was going to say, and maybe I'm wrong, totally wrong about this. It really depends on what's the tone of your story.
Right.
Oh,
And
yes.
when you unless you understand your art direction, it's you're going to slow down your story. And the pacing of the story may necessitate that you do not focus on all of that tonal work.
Right.
And that's the thing that with computers in the coloring and all the stuff that we can do, just because we can do it doesn't mean it's right for that particular story. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
And so that's all I'm saying is that especially and here's when you're hired out to do the job, who directs you? What is the art direction that you're given? And that's where if you're the art director, well then you have to work with whoever the creators, whoever's paying the money, and what is the tonality of the story? Are you and so and many times they say, oh yeah, I really want to do this, gets in the way of what is best for the story.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
And anyway, so that's my contribution to this thing. Sorry.
No, don't. By all means, don't. Stop apologizing, John.
Yeah.
I swear, every single time. Your knowledge means so much.
Oh yeah, that is also right. And I just, maybe it's because I did the coloring of the first book, the first Scene Killer. I was trying, and John sent me a palette of the old school, sent me an old school palette, and while I was coloring some of the pages, it doesn't feel that the coloring was like the old days, because maybe it was because it was digital, and I was comparing what I was coloring with the books that I have, and it didn't have the same vibe. So maybe it was because, first of all, I don't know how to interpret the the digital the digital coloring
Yeah.
and realize how it would be after printing. Maybe that was a huge problem, and maybe that was one of the main reasons it took me so much time to figure it out how to color the first book.
Yeah. Well, Marv, the you obviously you know that when you're looking at the screen, you're not looking at the actual what the colors are. I mean, I set my screen with my with Clip Studio Paint to be able to do it and say, okay, I wanted to see it as a CMYK versus an RGB. So I set that up, and then when I print it out, I get a better feel for what. I mean, this is a basic, a printer that I have, but CMYK and RGB extremely different, but also the light of the screen makes everything look brighter.
Yeah.
And that's where we have a problem of we're coloring on one thing, but it gets lost in translation to another medium because you don't know what the inks are. What is the paper? What's the absorption rate? And what kind of inks are they? They're using, and what kind of toner are they using? I mean, we're not using the same instruments. Everything gets translated, and sometimes what I look at it and go, okay, that's good. No, I would do a test, and on what I'm doing, and once I've gotten a sample of the book. Sometimes that's what you need. You need a color proof from your printer. I'm talking about the professional printer that's doing your work for you. So you know how they're interpreting the files that you're sending them. That's it is a lot of work, but it works if you are going to stay with the same production house and printer and using the same style and tonality. Then you can really work it, and understand what you're doing. But yeah, it sets the stage for future work. But there is so much experimentation and testing that costs you.
Yeah.
That's a problem for independent creators.
So a couple of tips that I can give when it comes to coloring digitally or just doing digital work that isn't pure black and white.
Yeah.
Is work in a well-lit room, Marv. Work in an actual well-lit room, not in the dark. If you're working digitally, put your screen down to the lowest brightness it can. And if possible, put on blue filter glasses.
Oh.
If you don't have the blue filter glasses, at least tone down the blue in your screen with like 5%.
You're not our real dad, Mike.
Oh my gosh, you heard that, huh?
Yeah.
Live TV, live
I'm sorry,
TV.
do you come on? They could come on here and sketch, but no, go ahead. Tone down. I was listening. Tone down the blues.
Yes. So, if you're setting your screen, like every screen has their RGB values that you can usually adjust by either the menu at the bottom, if all the plus and minus and the standard buttons on your screen, or in Windows itself. And if you put on blue, I actually am not wearing my blue filter glasses. Hold on, because they really reflect the blue that any light gives. So
Yeah.
Here we go. This is my blue filter glasses. And so what they do, that is different, is they filter the blue on the screen because the highest frequencies hurt your eyes. That's why your eyes get so tired when working on a screen. And if you don't have these glasses, you don't want to get them because these are prescription glasses anyway for me. But, for most people, unless you're like me, nearsighted. In any case, get your blue filter glasses or tone down the blue value on your screen together with the brightness. Contrast usually at 50% is fine. That's a personal thing, really. But that will give you the closest values to what you're going to get out of your printer. And that is what you want to work in when coloring digitally or even shading digitally, because you got to keep in mind that your screen is always going to be brighter than the ink that's being put down on paper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Keep it simple.
Yes.
I really think, to me, some of the best coloring that will ever see are direction and what have you is, again, I'm pulling out old stuff, the old Technicolor films.
Yeah.
Go back and look at them. Not just the brightness of it, but the you did have various tonalities, but using color to focus your eye.
Yeah.
And it's you don't have 50 shades of gray or 50 shades of yellow or what have you. You know what their families are, but then where characters need to be pulled back and so on and so forth. And I don't know. I mean, studying those things are master classes.
For sure. Yeah.
In terms of art direction.
I'm sitting here messing with my screen thanks to Mike. You guys look really weird.
Well, you're lucky it doesn't look any different on stream.
Yeah, right. So you don't even want to know what color you guys are coming at right now.
Oh, okay.
And if you have a printer at home, even just a normal A4 printer, it helps to just give yourself an idea. It's never going to be the same as the actual printer you're going to use, but it gives you a nice indication.
Mm-hmm.
So the golden rule to remember when coloring digitally is very simple. Your screen adds light to make color. Paper removes light. Well, ink removes light to create color. As long as you keep that in mind, you're generally going to be fine.
Oh my gosh. Don't put it on movie mode, Meyer. Whatever you do, don't put it on movie mode.
No, I want to the details. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question, Mike.
Yeah.
What is gamma? I mean, other than radiation, right?
It is the and do not quote me on this directly, but it is the base frequency that your screen is giving off and then starts light on. Don't quote me on that. Actually, I'm going to Google that because now I'm not sure and I actually want to know.
Yeah.
You know what? That is a great way to end on.
Look, I have something for that. The views and opinions expressed on that stream. We are an internet show. We are not we are not by far.
I found it. Your monitor's gamma tells you its pixels luminance at every brightness level from 0 to 100%. Lower gamma makes shadows look brighter and can result in a flatter, washed-out image where it's harder to see the brighter highlights. Higher gamma can make it harder to see details and shadows. Oh, that is interesting. Let me pull this over to my screen. So,
oh man, I just really messed up. I'm like, I've got the
Well,
sun
that's
coming out
cool,
of my
Rodney.
screen now.
okay, so that is a very good explanation. Okay, let me remove John real quick so you can actually see my screen. Let me put myself in solo layout. There. So high gamma gives you better highlights, but less background shading. Medium puts it in between, and then low gamma means that you're and I love how I'm seeing this at 3 screens at the same time, and all of them look differently. Every screen is different. Doesn't matter. Even between the same type of monitor, if you have 2 of them next to each other, they're going to be slightly different.
Yeah.
So, like, screens cannot be trusted when it comes to colors.
Yeah.
Again, use your printer. It helps. But yeah, like low gamma means that you're going to see less highlights, but your shadows are going to be more prominent. And higher, well, takes the opposite. So generally, you want to get your gamma in a mid-range. I think mine is at 0.8 for all my screens, which is plenty. But yeah, the more you know. Let me exit solo layout.
You see, it's more like, say, taking your brightness down. It's just, I don't know what I did to this thing now. It's more than just taking your brightness down. Huh? It's just kind of a like with the gamma and all that, and getting it right just to see which. They always say it's best to have a secondary screen so you can look at the colors that you're looking at. So.
Oh yes.
Oh boy! I tell you what. Since you said it, we're at that time. Why don't you go ahead, John? Tell us where we can find you and all that nice stuff.
Well, you can find me right here on Saturday morning with the Sketchy Gang, and you find me on YouTube and Facebook, all under John Celestri. Haven't been doing very much on Twitter lately. I mean, it's too musky for me.
You know what? Fair enough.
Yeah.
So that's where you can find me right now. Maybe sometime in the near future, I'll have my own web page up. So but until then, here we are.
There you go. Let's see, Rodney.
Hey, gang. You can find me at Rodney Fyke Art on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, all that good stuff. Go to the Hasm YouTube channel, check out the videos there. Also go to Hasm.com, that's HAZZUM.com, and check out all of our books available there. Peanut Pudding and Jelly, Unchained, Pitter Patter, Roadkill Rampage, and in 2023, coming to you, Doghouse, which Michael is the artist on.
Oh yeah.
And of course, Thursday night for Thursday Night Throwdown, and Tuesday nights, Dispatches Outside the Box, here on the Indie Comics Network, as well as here on Saturday mornings with you fools.
Oh yeah.
Next.
Seriously. Okay, so it's me. Okay, so you can find me every Saturday now with a better image. Every Saturday here on Sketchy Saturdays. You can find me also on Instagram and Facebook, MarV Team Killer. I'm not a Twitter fan, but I have that account too, but doesn't count. And also you can find the first Team Killer in the Thursday website, and soon you will find the second one, the first of the 4-chapter saga, Gabriel Reaper of Souls. Also Michael print this one. But till then, you can ask me for this. Just send me a message. It's only $7 worldwide shipping. So that's that. And yeah, guys, we'll see you. I'll see you next week. And it was fun today again.
Hey everyone, I've been Mike Jimmy DeBruin, CEO of Furs and Ends, and you can find me over on Kickstarter right now with Live on Korra Volume 1. The PDF is done. I spent the last 2 days fitting all the pages in there. It's insanity. But yeah, be sure to check it out over there. And you can find me on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern over here on the Indie Comics Network with Hung on Animation, where I work on the animated pilot for Live on Korra, as well as, of course, here on Sketchy Saturday, because, you know, someone's got to keep these guys in check. That one time in the month I'm here. Sorry. But I actually don't have any conventions anymore, so I'll be here the coming weeks, as it should be. And off to sea.
All right. Of course, I'm C. Michael Lanning. You can check me out at Linktree/C. Michael Lanning. And if you can't get enough of this face, you can also check me out Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Usually Rodney's on there with me too for Dispatches from Outside the Box, where, of course, we scour the corners of geekdom to inspire you to create comics outside of the box. This week, we're continuing our Disney December, where we'll be talking about the family features of Disney, the true live-action movies of Disney, and so on. So check that out. And we are out.
Stay awesome, lovelies.